Now make a very important projection. CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the Iowa caucuses. CNN can make this projection based on his overwhelming lead in our entrance poll of Iowa caucus goers and some initial votes that are coming in. The former president pulling off a huge early victory in his bid to return to the White House. Trump easily defeating his top opponents, Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, who are now in a high-stakes fight for second place. Let's go to Aaron Burnett at the panel. Aaron, not a surprise, but still, this is the earliest I can remember ever calling such a thing.
Exactly. Both things are true. Not a surprise. And yet it is 8:30 Eastern. Those caucus doors opened 30 minutes ago. And here we are, Caitlin, with a projection. And you could see it in those entrance polls, but I mean, it is very decisive.
Yeah, and the question for Trump's team really here is how big is this victory going to be? They expected for him to win. Obviously, if he did it, it would be like a meteor striking the earth in their world. Their question is, what is that margin going to look like? And you can see Donald Trump is speaking, his sons are speaking, he has allies and operatives fanned out at every precinct, making his case to everyone who is at these caucuses. And it just speaks to the moment that we are in. I mean, Donald Trump 8 years ago left Iowa with a loss to Ted Cruz. And not only did he not accept that loss, he claimed that they should nullify the result and went on to New Hampshire. What he's planning to do now, we've now just learned, is tonight he's going to New York, and tomorrow he'll attend the opening arguments of the E. Jean Carroll trial, where the jury is going to determine how much he owes in damages and that. And then he'll be going to New Hampshire tomorrow night after that. And it just speaks to how he is really balancing the campaign trail and the courthouse here in these moments. And so we will likely hear from him tonight. But it goes to what this campaign and what this primary is being defined by. And it's Donald Trump's legal troubles, but also really decisive victories and a strong hold on the Republican Party.
But at this moment, I'm going to interrupt myself because NBC News can now project at this hour at 8:33 p.m., 7:33 Central Time, 8:33 in the East Coast, 7:33 Central Time, that former President Donald J. Trump will be the projected winner in the Iowa caucuses for the 2024 presidential election. Again, about 33 minutes after the doors closed in the Iowa caucuses, with very few actual results in, but based on the results that we do have and the entrance polling that we do have, NBC News now projects that Donald Trump will be, at the end of the night, the winner of the Iowa caucuses.
Well, no, Ryan Binkley, I'm glad that we know his name and that he got a chance to get a little bit of fame, having been mentioned by the great Rachel Maddow. But the previous woman, who the Trump surrogate, I wish she had not just loved it. I wish she had listed it. I wanted to hear what she was going to say, because I'm always curious when people say he did so much for us and he made America great again, like what specific policies they mean. Because the one policy that Donald Trump obviously passed was that massive, enormous tax cut. He didn't get the wall. He didn't do. I really am always curious as to what they actually mean by that. But I do think the evangelical thing that Alex was talking about, I think that is the story for the night. The fact that in 2016, these were Ted Cruz voters, you know, he kind of had the evangelical lane. In this particular race, it was Ron DeSantis who originally went hard for evangelicals. Remember the God Made a Fighter ad? He did the God ad first before Trump did. And he really was attempting to appeal directly to the souls of evangelicals. His whole strategy is Iowa.
The first results of the 2024 race for president are now coming in. The Iowa caucuses revealing the election road ahead for Republicans: Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis. Take a look as we come on the air here. ABC News is now projecting, based on analysis of the entrance polling, that former President Donald Trump will win Iowa, where he had nearly a 30-point lead heading into the Iowa caucuses tonight. Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are now in a crucial race for second place, with the New Hampshire primary, of course, on the horizon. DeSantis heavily invested in Iowa, visiting all 99 counties, attending more events than Trump and Haley combined. But again, as we come on right now, Donald Trump, we are now projecting, based on analysis of the entrance polling, will win Iowa. I want to get right over to our political director, Rick Klein, back at the big board. Hard to believe we're already back at the big board, but here we are. And why do we know this already?
Yeah, we have very little vote in. It's just beginning to trickle in. So these numbers really don't mean very much. But what does mean a lot for our decision desk is that we have polls on the way into these caucuses. It's different than a typical election, David, because caucus sites are these local gatherings around the state. And on the way in, we ask a representative sample of people who they intend to vote for. And right now, now, the results in that exit poll align closely enough with the pre-election polls to suggest that Donald Trump is likely to win the caucuses. And to remind people, this is what we were looking at from the Des Moines Register poll, a wide lead. And in a case like this, which is very unusual, David, it's very rare that you have a blowout in Iowa, particularly on the Republican side. But in a case like this, when those entrance polls align very closely with the public polling, we have confidence at ABC News that Donald Trump is likely to win. We should note the caveat. The votes are still being counted in many locations. In some locations, the voting hasn't even started yet because of the way caucuses work. But on their way in tonight, Donald Trump showing sufficient support that our team feels confident that he's going to win.
DeSantis, we don't know. You're starting to see some movement here. I'm going to step back a little bit closer here. They're raising their hand if they got it. If they need a pen, that's what I'm being told by our producer. So, you know, when you're analog and old school, like for the ballots, and you got.
Hallie, I got to interrupt you. We have a major election alert from our decision desk. We want to stand by for breaking news. I think we have a call, and we do. NBC News can now project that Donald Trump has won the Iowa caucus. The first vote's just coming in with Trump leading Haley and DeSantis by double digits. You can see right there, Donald Trump, 14 delegates already awarded out of 40. It's unclear the margin of victory right now. It's still unclear who's in second place because it's still very early. But now with the first contest so far, the first vote's underway, Donald Trump, the former president, running away with victory. Now, this is no surprise, but still, it's a notch in the belt for former President Trump, and it gives him the big momentum as he heads to New Hampshire, the contest next week. Again, no big surprise here, but still a very decisive, very big win for Donald Trump. And it also shows where a lot of voters' heads are.
So based on the first results and our Fox News voter analysis, the Fox News decision desk can now project that former President Donald Trump will win the Iowa caucuses.
He will take the lion's share of the state's 40 delegates. This result really solidifies his place as the current frontrunner for the nomination. Former Governor Haley and Governor DeSantis fighting for second. And this is really going to maybe last a while because it's a close race right now, how we see it based on the numbers we're looking at. You know, the former president, overperformed in the rural parts of Iowa, but it has been overwhelming, some of these numbers from these precincts that are already starting to come in. Some of them, and we were just talking, it happens quickly.
It's incredible.
Jesse. I mean, they do it on pieces of paper, they finish it, they hear everybody talk, and it's done.
It's stunning, Jesse. I mean, I was in touch with someone who's at a Des Moines precinct, and she said, you know, they listened to the speeches from all of the representatives of the candidates, and then they voted, and it was over very quickly. Everything that we're seeing is that the former president in Iowa tonight has really swept with all age groups. I mean, clearly strong with rural voters, voters who have lower levels of education, but strong all across the board. And it lines up with a lot of what we saw in the polling that we saw in the last few days on issues like a strong leader, good on the economy. All of these things seem to be bearing fruit for him tonight in Iowa, Jesse.
One of the stories, Jesse, is going to be whether the former president can get over 50%, because it's very possible that.
CBS News can now make a projection in the Iowa Republican caucuses. That projection is that the projected winner, former President Donald Trump. That is based not only on results as they have begun to come in from the caucuses, now just a little bit more than a half an hour old, but also entrance poll data. Matching those two together gives us the confidence to project former President Trump as the winner. And this is a very early call in the evening, so it is likely to be a decisive outcome in favor of the former president, Donald Trump, the projected winner of the Iowa Republican caucuses. Let's go now, once again, to CBS News Election and Surveys Director Anthony Salvanto, who is, of course, at the CBS News data desk. Anthony, tell us how we got here.
There you go, Major. Look, we've got entrance polls. We had them all over the state, and we had them talking to voters as they were going in. I can tell you they were overwhelmingly saying that they were going to vote for Donald Trump. And then, as we started to get a trickle of those results coming back from the precincts, in fact, Donald Trump. And all our model estimates here at the data desk were pointing to Donald Trump. And really, that's not a surprise to anyone. He was leading so handily in all of the pre-caucus election polls. So there's your projection for Donald Trump.
Buenas tardes. En esta edición especial de Noticias Telemundo son las 6:30 de la tarde en la costa oeste de los Estados Unidos, 8:30 de la noche en Iowa. Los ojos del país puestos en este estado. Y a esta hora, Noticias Telemundo proyecta que el expresidente Donald Trump es el ganador de las asambleas republicanas en Iowa. Como lo anticipaban las encuestas, los números iniciales muestran una victoria contundente que da un fuerte impulso a la campaña del expresidente Donald Trump.